Hey, welcome back to the channel. The long-awaited Yuka sweeper and bag system is finally in, and I'll tell you what, I'm super excited about it. What this thing does, if you're unfamiliar with it, the Yuka robotic lawnmower will automatically cut your grass, and with this bag and sweeper system, it'll fling the cuttings and leaves up into the bag. Once the bag gets full, it'll drive to a predetermined dump spot. The back will lift up, the leaves and cuttings will dump out, and the robot will go back to work right where it left off and continue with the cut job. That's amazing. And I'll tell you what, I've had it for about 2 weeks now. I've tested it rigorously and it's worked absolutely amazing. Today I have some really good tests for you planned, but before I do that, let me tell you a little bit about the bag system. The bag actually comes off, you can dump it manually, which is kind of cool. And then the mechanism which makes all this work. It has a silicone cylinder here. This spins at a relatively high rate of speed and it flings the cuttings and the leaves up into the bag. Once the bag gets full, the robot will go to that predetermined dump spot, dump it out, and then it'll continue its job. I'll tell you what, I'm really looking forward to this. I got a full trash can full of leaves that I've accumulated all around my property. Large leaves, medium leaves, small crushed up leaves. Everything I could do to try to represent different conditions that you guys might experience out there. I know I can't replicate everything, but this will be a good one, trust me. Before we get out there and get started though, I wanted to tell you that it takes about 20 minutes to cut my grass, and I didn't want a 20-minute video, so I'm gonna go high speed with the robot driving around picking up the leaves. But I wanted to show you every bit of the video. There's no smoke and mirrors here. This thing is gonna drive around the yard and pick up all the leaves, and I wanted you to see that. So I'm getting ready to test Yuka with this gigantic bucket of leaves, and we're gonna see this grass is immaculate. There's not one weed or leaf or anything in it. I'm gonna dump this whole bucket all over the place, and let's see the sweeper in action. This is either gonna be a really cool video or the biggest cleanup that I've done in a while. At the end of the first pass, I feel like it's got about 80% of the leaves up. Now I have this set to do 2 passes on the interior, and that's what's recommended. That way if leaves blow a little bit, or maybe it kind of pushed some out of the way when it was driving, the second pass is gonna be sure to catch those. But let's look at the before. Wow, that is a lot of leaves. And here's the after the first pass. And I'll tell you what, it got a lot of them. This is gonna be interesting. So let's go ahead and run it on the second interior pass and see what happens next. So after its 2 interior passes, it's got 99 point something amount of those leaves up on the interior, and the only thing left is the border. Now I have it scheduled to do 2 border runs, one slightly inside the other, and hopefully it'll get the rest of those leaves up. Let's see it do those border runs.
Working complete. Start recharging.
Well, I definitely don't regret that. I mean, look at that. Man, it was a super easy cleanup for the lawnmower, and that's way above and beyond what you should be doing with that machine. I always test it beyond what's expected so that you know exactly what you're getting. And I'll tell you what, if you keep reasonable care of your yard, it's going to get those leaves up no problem whatsoever, that's for sure. Wow, that worked even better than I thought it did, but I did learn a few things throughout the process that I wanted to share with you guys. One of the things is when you have the Yucca going very closely along the perimeter without the bag on it, it can make some very tight in the corner turns. But once you put the bag on it, the bag does stick out a little bit more. You may have to adjust the mapping. I decided to 45 degree a few of those really sharp corners where the bag would hit to preserve the quality of the bag. I didn't want it rubbing against it, destroying the bag over time. So keep that in mind when you first run it around the perimeter. Do you have the proper bag clearance? Another thing I learned with the obstacle avoidance, you have to turn it down to direct touch because it sees the leaves as an obstacle. This could be awesome because I tested it in the other videos with the tennis ball. It'll pick up very small objects and it'll go around them. But if you have piles of leaves in the yard, it'll be trying to avoid that as if it's an obstacle. So I put mine on direct touch and it went across the leaves no matter how high they were stacked up and did a good job with it. Another thing to consider is how often do you want the robot dumping? Now I dumped a whole trash can full of leaves in the yard and that bag is not a trash can worth. So I had to try to determine how often do I have to have it go dump, and you can pick the amount of square footage in the app to kind of decide how often it goes and dumps. So that's going to depend on your particular circumstances. Bottom line on this one, that Yucca sweeper attachment is a home run and I like it a lot. I enjoy using it. It exceeded my expectations and has worked flawlessly for me. Tell me down in the comments, what do you think? Is this going to work out in your environment? Ask any questions you have about it. I'll leave links for the robot down in the description. Obviously that helps the channel and I appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one. The Yucca sweeper. Oh, yeah, that thing is sick. Yeah.